Hello friends, hope you are well. Welcome to this week's episode of The Dirt Report. It's good to be back in rain-soaked Perth. The green has returned. This is no longer a desert. Well, until the summer returns. Come visit! This week I have been away on a work trip and only returned this morning, so today's episode is sponsored by my lack of time, making it short but relevant to this week's biggest news. And what news might that be? Well, it's NBN Co, of course. I swear, one day or maybe 1 month I will go without mentioning them. But alas, let's dive deep into NBN Co's revised special access undertaking submission from August 12th this year and find out what it will mean for our country's telecommunication infrastructure in the future. Also, remember to like this video if you did and subscribe to support us. Let's roll the intro. The 33-page revised special access undertaking submission contains some positive changes, but also plenty to be concerned about. Also, it has a very scary formula for calculating the weighted average price cap framework. We will get back to that in a moment, or basically later in the video. Anyway, links below for the full document and media releases. Before we get into the first big change, we need a little refresher relating to this topic. Now, each NBN subscriber needs an Access Virtual Circuit or AVC, which identifies their traffic within NBN. RSPs generally purchase one AVC per subscriber, and the AVC is the first component of the wholesale NBN cost. The NBN comprises of multiple connectivity serving areas, each with a point of interconnect, or POI, to which access seekers connect their respective backhaul infrastructure. Now, these access seekers are RSPs. They also purchase a connectivity virtual circuit, which is the CVC, for each connectivity serving area they wish to cover. The CVC is essentially a bandwidth pipe, the size determined by the cost. The larger the CVC, the better the service to subscribers within the connectivity service area. Last year, this was the cause of evening slowdowns, where RSPs wouldn't buy enough CVC over the allocated amount that each AVC came with in certain suburbs. Now, the connectivity virtual circuit is the second component of the NBN Co wholesale cost. The NBN is essentially an access network terminating in the subscriber's premises. Now, RSPs connect to the NBN at a specific point of interest, POI. There is a per month charge for every POI connection, and that's the third NBN Co wholesale cost component. Finally, there is a one-off charge for each POI connection, which is the fourth NBN Co cost component. I feel like that little Dracula guy going, one connection fee, two connection fee. So now onto the SAU. The first big announcement is a commitment to removing the CVC charges, replacing them with an AVC-only scheme. Everyone can actually rejoice, right? Our RSPs will be happy, right? This is where they've been going for, right? They've been complaining about this. They want to simplify the whole cost structure. Isn't this good news? Well, just like our internet, not so fast. The AVC pricing scheme will only be applicable to plans of NBN 100 and above from July 2023. And then for those below the NBN 100 plans, it will be July 2026 before they see the CVC removed. If you remember last episode, we talked about how over 70% of NBN users are on the NBN 50 and below plans, meaning this adjustment isn't really going to make a big difference for RSPs until 2026. However, there is some good news. At the same time, the AVC will be receiving a sizable discount from July 2023, which will incentivize RSPs to get people over to the higher NBN 100 plans. I imagine this is the same plan for NBN Co to move over onto the NBN 100 plan. It is their best moneymaker. Furthermore, there will be reduced wholesale bundle charges or additional data inclusions on the 12, 25, and 50 NBN wholesale speed tiers. So what will actually happen? Well, in the first stage, NBN will transition the TC4 bundle offers to zero CVC pricing, which basically means it will be 0 per megabit per second CVC per TC4 overage charge. This will happen by no later than the 1st July of 2026. This will happen by no later than 1st July 2026 over a progressive rebalancing of CVC and AVC charges. Stage 2, NBN will reduce the AVC-only charges on the Home Fast, Home Superfast, and Home Ultra Fast speed tiers. Then on stage 3, NBN will reduce effective charges through amended pricing or increased inclusions on the CC4 bundle offers for the 12, 25, and 50 megabit speed tiers. This is all good news, but will the numbers actually stack up? The whole point of this SAU is to give NBN Co an opportunity to earn the minimum revenues set out to meet its legitimate financial objectives, including a transition to a standalone investment grade credit rating, which includes their ACCC. But on the flip side, NBN writes that they want to protect subscribers so they don't get a price shock now and in the future, and give some price certainty to each person down the chain like the RSPs. These expectations should incentivize the NBN to operate efficiently and effectively and be the network of choice versus mobile 5G providers. That's the hope anyway. Now onto this very scary formula. It's probably the most important change going forward, and it will be working out the future pricing of the NBN. NBN Co will introduce a weighted average price control or basket price control applicable to all NBN services. This will allow a transition to a cost-reflective pricing, and this weighted basket may increase each year on a use it or lose it basis at CPI or at a percentage which allows forecast revenue for each financial year. The proposed WAPC framework is broadly aligned with WAPC's methodology used by the Australian energy regulators. This framework will transparently determine the X factor that would enable but not guarantee NBN to achieve its forecasted revenue requirements based on forecasted demand quantities for its charges. If we can keep CPI under control, we should be able to go forward with fairly reasonable pricing. And the positive outcome here is we have a structure to the madness, and they won't be able to just make up prices out of thin air. There should be some numbers behind it. There are also some insurances added in, and I think I like this one the most. First off, the ACCC powers will be significantly expanded, including the power to reset NBN's revenue and pricing regulation framework from 2032. Though a few years away, at least we have a solution if need be. And the ACCC will be given the power to set alternative service standards for subsequent regulation cycles if NBN's replacement module application is rejected. This is a process to review that the NBN is continually meeting industry and consumer expectations of performance. Now on to the bad stuff. There are a few worrisome things I found in this document, specifically this line titled "Expiry of SAU upon privatization of NBN," which reads, NBN is considering a proposal whereby the SAU expiry date would be brought forward from 2040 in the event that NBN transfers from government to private ownership before that time. Now, I hope that we have learned from our mistakes with the power companies were privatized on the East Coast. I hope they realize it does not do any good for the end user, and privatization of the NBN will be its death cross, not just because of prices will skyrocket, but it's a country's communication infrastructure, and private companies have a tendency to censor what they don't like hearing or seeing. And this is controlling our entire internet. Now, no matter what side of the fence you're falling on, fair access to the internet is a human right, no matter what crap you spout on the internet. So to recap, the CVC is going away. It will take a few years, and over time, the TC4 CVC costs will go from $8 per megabit per second to $0 by 2026. This will avoid price shock to legacy cap plans and allow time to develop alternatives. It will also mitigate impacts for smaller volume RSPs, losing the benefit of the overage waiver. It will also help in avoiding reduced use of the NBN network with competitor networks like 5G, while mitigating NBN Co's commercial impacts. No major money losses and maybe some cost recovery at some point. For the RSPs, it should give some pricing certainty for the coming years. Lastly, the most exciting thing for us plebs is the price reduction for NBN 100 plans and above. This chart should show you a good example, looking at $5 to $10 across the board. Will we see that price? Hopefully. In today's video, I have covered the highlights, and the document linked below goes into a lot more detail on things like outages, dropout thresholds, and low-income consumers. The outage and dropouts mainly cover the mixed technology debacle. It's your classic fiber to the node and HFC. The threshold for these has not changed, and I imagine it's because they expect to upgrade everyone to fiber to the premises. Well, I hope anyway. On the low-income consumer concerns, it is making the NBN affordable for vulnerable consumer groups. NBN Co said, as a wholesaler, they don't care, touting things like, this needs a more holistic approach, industry-wide approach, and the fan favorite. Research has shown that there are many reasons this cohort is underconnected, with our pricing only being one part of the big list. And on that note, we have to end this episode. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like the video if you did. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this. And of course, it supports the channel. Apologies, I am very, very exhausted, but I'll catch you all in another one. Thanks for watching. Bye!